Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from around the world. The Vatican will be collecting data from a worldwide survey on cyberbullying and hopes to present its findings in the spring. It's all part of the Vatican's creation of an international observatory on cyberbullying.
Fate la promessa al Signore di mai fare questo e mai permettere che si faccia nel vostro collegio, nella vostra scuola, nel vostro quartiere. Capito?
It was not a casual message from the Pope. The bullying problem on social networks worries him to the point that the Vatican will create an international observatory. In April, he hopes to present the conclusions of a triple study that will measure how the children themselves perceive the phenomenon, how the governments face this problem, and how he will establish prevention plans. The project is supported by two entities, Scuolas Ocurrentes, the international network of 440,000 schools promoted by the Pope, and the Carolina Foundation. This Italian organization was born after Carolina Picchio's suicide. She was a 14-year-old girl who couldn't stand to be the target of ridicule on social networks.
I didn't understand why Carolina took her own life. She was a beautiful, intelligent, sporty young woman. Why? Unfortunately, they hurt her. She was hurt not only by the videos they posted of her on social networks, but also by the thousands of insults the network spewed at her.
Cyberbullying is growing at an overwhelming rate. In the US, 28% of students in grades 6 through 12 experienced bullying in 2011, according to the National Center for Education Statistics and Bureau of Justice Statistics. A 2007 survey from C.P. Bradshaw's School Psychology Review showed that approximately 30% of young people in the US admit to bullying others.
In April, the findings will be presented during a three-day congress attended by more than 50 universities and government representatives from about 30 countries, as well as social media companies, teachers, families, and students who will share their experiences and good practices to combat cyberbullying. In news from around the country, the Vatican has announced updates about a variety of sainthood causes, including the recognition of the martyrdom of De La Salle Christian brother James Miller, who was born in Wisconsin and was shot to death in Guatemala in 1982. This recognition of Brother James, or Brother Santiago as he was also known, clears the way for his beatification. Brother Miller was born September 21st, 1944 in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Some websites refer to him as Brother Fix-It, and an icon featured on the website of the Christian Brothers of the Midwest shows him wearing overalls. In 1969, he was sent to Nicaragua, where he taught and helped build schools. He left in 1979 during the Sandinista Revolution, but returned in 1981 and was shot by three hooded gunmen while he was on a ladder making repairs to a building. No one was ever arrested for his murder. In news from the Vatican, the General Assembly of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem is taking place at the Vatican. The 30,000-member order funds about 80% of the annual budget of the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, ensuring that Catholic parishes and seminaries, schools and hospitals in Israel, Palestine, and Jordan continue to function.
Many works that support and encourage Christians living in the Holy Land depend on the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. The order will be holding its assembly in Rome these coming days. They are wanting to revitalize their activity in the Holy Land, but without changing its mission. This mission is to ensure that holy sites are still filled with Christians and don't become museums.
Well, there are many needs, and we do our best by telling the story of our people, our brave, courageous people who are remaining strong in the faith despite many pressures, who are raising family there despite many opportunities for misunderstanding and for exiting that area. And we do everything we can to make our Christian community stable and faithful to their families and to their neighbors and certainly to their faith.
They presented to the Vatican some activities they've been involved in to promote Christian presence in the Holy Land. The order is made up of lay people, priests and religious who economically support Christians in the Middle East, but who above all pray for them. The institution is made up of 30,000 members from 40 countries. It is distributed into 64 delegations and its number is increasing. To belong to the order, it is necessary to be a good Christian. They must be people of faith committed to the values of the order. These values are charity, humility and obedience. Before entering the order, potential members have to follow a path of formation like Donata Maria did. Her family has been a part of the order for 2 generations. For example, her father and grandfather were knights. I've had 2 investitures. The first was being invested laity into the order. The second was personally for me when I went to the Holy Land. This visit touched me in a way that I saw the good works of the order that it does in the Holy Land. This institution is the arm of the Catholic Church in Palestine, Jordan and Israel through its economical support to the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem. They help to financially maintain schools, formation, charitable and social activities there.
Cardinal O'Brien said the order provides about $15 million each year in grants to Catholic projects in the Holy Land. Most are run by the Latin Patriarchate, but the Maronite and Melkite Catholic churches also receive assistance. Finally in the news, the Catholic Bishops of Congo are calling for aid to the 500,000 migrants from their country deported from neighboring Angola under a crackdown on non-traditional diamond mining. The bishops called on the Congolese authorities to work with the Angolan government to safeguard the return of the migrants in a respectful manner. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees confirmed in a statement that the mass deportations had brought serious human rights violations by security forces on both sides of the border, leaving at least 330,000 people in an extremely precarious situation. The Congolese Caritas agency reported that more than 500,000 deportees had arrived and heavily outnumbered local inhabitants in several provinces. Sister Bernadette Rees of the Daughters of St. Paul told Vatican Radio that Catholic parishes had offered food and shelter to incoming people, but she said resources were disproportionate to the number in need and that Charities Congo was working with Caritas Internationalis to put a strategic plan in place. This is the latest crisis to affect one of the poorest and conflict-torn countries in the world, which also faces elections in December after an earlier planned ballot was postponed by the government. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.